Destiny, Out of the Wild, a novella by J.A. Parry Bruce. Gamma told me it's called a deer. It's big, wild, antlers as long as my leg. I can see it clearly though through the scope of the ancient rifle. Its hide is rich, deep, reddy brown colour. I want to stroke it. My embraces are made of deerskin. They're warm and tough, and Gamma showed me how to carve strong runes and powerful wards in them to protect me. It's my third time over ground. The first time I came with Mama. We were out here for an hour, maybe, just looking at all the life. It's dead in the underground. Safe, but dead. I saw a bird. The trees are all around you. Vines and creepers have crawled their way up the buildings, but you can still see their windows, shining in the moonlight. Glassy, like a corpse's eyes. The second time I came with BJ, he let me hold the rifle. There were no bullets in it, but I aimed it, down the sights, like he showed me in the old tunnels, and pulled the trigger once or twice. He pointed to a bush, and I watched it for a long time. It rustled. There was a flash of red fur. A fox, he told me. I pointed the rifle, led the creature a little as it trotted across our path. I didn't know why then, but it seemed the right thing to do. I pulled the trigger. I know I would have got it. We went back and Gamma drew me a picture of a fox and I put it on my wall. I breathe slow now. I feel the fear bubbling in my stomach, threatening to climb up into my throat, turning into a scream. I shouldn't be out here. It's dangerous. All my life I've been told that, and all my life I've wanted to get out, to get up here, to see what's so dangerous, to see why I can't come. I still don't see it. There's no visible danger, no monsters roaming in the night, but I can feel it. There's something terrifying out here, and my body tenses on its own. I realize I am ready to run. BJ makes a ready finger sign at me. Time to see if I can kill. I press my cheek to the cold metal of the rifle, sight down the long scope. Breathe out, breathe in. Breathe out, hold. The deer's flanks quiver and it shakes its head. It is beautiful. I pull the trigger. The deer's life ends. Chapter 1. Later, I play with one of the deer bones. Gamma has carved a single rune in it. It's a thanks sign, she told me, to thank the spirit of the world for giving us its gift of food. I don't know how much of it I believe anymore, but I press the bone to my chest and whisper my own thanks to the little light near my bed. I feel a strange warmth through my palms, but it passes quickly. My room is small. A corrugated tin wall separates my room from Gamma's, and a slatted door closes it off from the living space. Even through the door, I can hear the fire crackling and spitting, can hear Mama and Rico talking in low voices in the living room. I've got some shelves with clothes on them, blankets, a small box I keep my treasures in. I open the box and put the bone inside, moving a broken purple comb and some red-stained glass beads to make room. Nearly everyone in our village ate some of the deer. There was a little celebration in the common hall. BJ played his flute and Simo strummed his guitar and we danced while the deer cooked. Gamma wept a little. I didn't know why then. I think I do now. Elder Maggio inducted me into the hunter cadre. He said words that I can't remember but seemed full of wisdom and portents at the time. BJ gave me the bullet casing on a length of twine. I put it over my head and dropped it down the front of my shirt. It sits between my breasts and scratches my skin, but I can't take it off. I won't take it off. There's a knock on the door of our apartment. I hear another voice as Mama opens the door. It's deep and rich, though I can't hear the words. Footsteps. There's a gentle knock on my door. Without looking, I know it's Mama. Lycus is here, she whispers. Lycus? I've heard of Lycus. He's the best hunter in the underground. So they say. A leader of the cadre. A legend. I stand up and the bullet casing rubs against my skin, makes it chafe. I open the door and see him standing there. His back is to me. He's warming his hands by the fire. Rico looks scared. Lycus is tall but thin. His ragged coat touches the floor in places. There is a long, cruel knife at his hip. Dried blood has spattered the rune-cut sheath. May I come in, girl? He says over his shoulder. I nod. Though he isn't looking at me, he seems to understand. Or he doesn't care. He turns and enters my room. I've left the box open. He reaches in and takes the bone. A thank sign. He rubs a rune with his thick thumb. He's wearing old leather fingerless gloves. They look like they used to be green. His thumbnail is black. He makes a noise in his throat and tosses the bone back into the box. Good that you know signs. He raises his eyes and glances at me from between the folds of his deep hood. Thick white hair falls around the sides of his face. Spiritualism is bullshit. The rune's power comes from us, not from old ghosts. But knowing this doesn't diminish it. Good that you know signs. Suddenly he grabs my hand. He's turning it over. My mouth hangs open. I'm stunned by his speed. He rubs his calloused, dirty fingers across mine. I have blisters at the bottom of my fingers, at the crook of my thumb. There are cuts on my knuckles and a long graze across the back of my hand. Calluses are forming. Some have reopened. He touches them all one by one, then nods. There's warmth in his touch that isn't just body heat. I sense a smile in the darkness of the hood. Practice, he asks. Training, I say. There's a grunt that I take as a laugh. He releases my hand and sits on the bed. He pulls down his hood and blinks a few times in the light. He has a thick beard, black shot through with glimmers of white. He's older than Mama but younger than Gamma. His face has more lines than Elder Maggio, but his eyes are clear and shine in the light from my little lamp. He has an old bruise high on his cheek. A livid scar adds another fold to his forehead. You're a hunter now, he says to me. His eyes dart around the room, keep flicking back to look into mine. I'm surprised by their intensity every time. Just one kill, I say. I'm nervous, but breathe slow, trying to calm myself. First shot, he grunts. First kill, I heard. That the way of it? I nod. If you can kill, you can hunt. The fingers of his right hand gently brush the carved bone handle of his knife. An old habit? Does he do it for reassurance? Maybe? Comfort? I look at the handle. There's a thanks sign on it. The surrounding bone worn almost flush with the carved rune. He sees me looking. You will come with me. What about BJ? I ask without thinking. He can kill. BJ stays, had his chance. And didn't take it, I think. There's a long pause. I don't know what to say. When? I ask finally, though I already know the answer. Now. Mama cried. I cried a little. Rico gave me a stone with a power sign painted on it. I have it in my pocket. Gamma pressed a tightly wrapped parcel into my hand, something hard inside, and whispered into my ear. I've been keeping this for you. It was your father's. I felt wetness on her cheek transferred to mine. Hunt, she had rasped. Kill. There is honor in this. The spirits will guide you and keep you safe, but you must find strength for yourself. I haven't opened the packet. Lycus had returned to the overground with a small band of hunters who had accompanied him on the trip to our underground village. He had told me to gather what things I needed. Needed, he had stressed the word, not wanted. I packed clothes in a sack, trousers, shirts, gloves, a warm hide tunic. I dressed for the cold in thick trousers, pulled another shirt on, buckled my strong belt and pouches around my waist. Threw on a patterned waistcoat that was easily the prettiest thing I owned and picked up my jacket. At the door to my room, I turned and looked back. The box was still open. I took out the bone and closed the lid. Mama was waiting in the living area, standing with her back to the fire and a large bundle in her hands. Tears streaked clean lines down her cheeks, made her skin gleam. She held out the thing to me and I took it, unfolded it. A long coat that I remembered as being my father's. It is made of leather, dark green, patched, weathered, beaten, and well looked after. Mama must have waxed it regularly, even after. It has a woolen lining, warm and comfortable, and many little pockets and pouches, some hidden, all useful. There's a hood, deep like Lycus's, with thongs to tie it down and buckled straps to adjust its depth. It has padded cuffs that can be tightened around the waist. If you look closely, you'll see hundreds of overlapping runes, their power strengthened in strange and mysterious ways as they come into contact with one another. It's a secret language, and I know much of it without knowing how I know. It's instinctive, intuitive. On the inside collar, where the coat rests against my neck, there is a potent ward. 2 runes in symmetry, their edges overlapping. One a protection and the other a banishment. The ward feels warm, like sunlight. I close my eyes and see my father standing in the doorway of our little house, wearing the coat. He's got a long rifle over his shoulder. He's smiling at me and Mama. She's holding me in her arms. I'm so small. Even then, I knew I'd never see him again. I took the coat, put it on. Mama cried again. "You're so like him," she said. I cried again. I put the bone in my pocket near my breast. Chapter 2. Lycus's bondsman, Pirlo, helps me clamber up over a wide ledge, around the side of a long, empty window frame. I misjudge the footing, grunt and stagger into him. He puts out an arm to steady me, helps me find my feet. We've climbed the ruined hulk of an ancient building. I'm further away from my little underground village than I've ever been before. The sun is bleeding light onto the horizon. It will come up soon. Shadows seem to lift up from beneath us, climbing our bodies as we ascend the ruin. The building has crashed into another, is leaning drunkenly against it, almost horizontal. My weapons are strapped tight to my body so they do not swing and unbalance me or crash and clutter together to alert our quarry. My first real hunt, I tied my gear down without thinking, knowing what I was doing but barely understanding why. I saw Lycus watching me, wondered if I'd done something wrong. Then I saw Pirlo doing the same. He'd nodded and smiled, made me smile too. We've spent the last 4 hours tracking deer. Pirlo tells me that we're close. He points down to the tree line below us. The leaves rustle and shake. I can see the tiny movements without the need to use the compact scope tucked away in one of my pockets on my right. My eyes are keener now. I've only been a hunter for a few short weeks, but already I know what I'm looking for. We scramble silently along an unbroken length of concrete. Pirlo is fast, but I keep up. When I became a hunter, Lycus gave me a knife, a gun, and a pair of moccasins. These boots are an ancient design, he told me, and a hunter's best weapon. I can feel the floor beneath my feet. My toes can grip through the soft leather, and they're almost silent, even when running. I have a needle and thread and leather patches in my coat to repair them. Pirlo has the same. We all do. The building ends abruptly here, and we need to clamber down the practically vertical roof to enter its neighbourhood. I clutch to narrow finger holds, find toe holds by feel, and carefully descend, following Pilo. Ancient boxes dot the rooftop, flower-like blades behind metal grills, weird protrusions and smaller boxes, some with switches inside and out. We move from one to the other until we reach a wide gash in the side of the other building. It's dark. Pilo leads us inside. We go slower now. We've gone a few floors down, making our way towards the ground floor, towards the forest and the food, picking through abandoned offices, collapsed walls, and forgotten stairways. We enter a wide space, broken up with strange, short walls. Pilo makes a finger sign for quiet. Wait, he signals. I hold my breath and wait, staring ahead, afraid to blink. There, movement. Pilo signs, follow me. Carefully we cross the room at an angle, heading towards one of the small partitions in a half crouch. I think about bringing some of these materials back to the underground, back to my family, but that's not why I'm here. I shake away the thought, leave that to the scavengers. I tell myself, we're here to hunt. A sound, snuffling, a nose rummaging in dry leaves. The trees are tall, and their detritus has blown in through the blown-out windows. There could be food in here for our prey, which means food for us. Pilo lifts his chin towards the door on the far side of the partition. There's still some glass in a full-length frame next to the door. It's smoky, but there's a shadow shape moving on the other side. A long neck, twitching ears, and the long curves of antlers. I watch Pilo scan the room, looking for another way through. Opening the door would make the deer bolt. He has a calm, patient face, lean and hard, but not marked and aged like Lycus's. His hair is close cut, short and neat, apart from a thin braid gathered at the back that dangles over his right shoulder. He's wearing a short jacket, hunter's gloves, and reddy brown moccasins. His rifle has a 3-point strap that binds it close to his back, but it is easily unbuckled for a quick draw. He has 2 knives, the largest high on his right thigh, the other strapped to the inside of his left forearm. I like looking at him. He catches my eye. Has he seen me watching him? I begin to blush as he smiles and makes hand signs. Up, over, down, and around. I look up and see a hole where the ceiling has fallen. A broken metal box lies below it. He indicates with finger sign that we can climb up on the wreckage and he'll boost me through the hole. I won't be able to pull him up, I realise. This is going to be my hunt. I put my foot into his hands. I can feel the warmth through the moccasins. Something brushes my thigh. I fight off the urge to look down. I stare into the darkness above me and wait for the tap of Pilo's thumb on my ankle. 1, 2, jump. I catch the lip of a metal bar, pull myself through the opening, minding the stock of my rifle as I climb into the narrow gap. It's dark. I wait for my eyes to adjust. Eventually I can see ropes of old wire sat in dull metal trunking. I've seen similar in the underground, helped Simo as he fiddled with the electronics to add lights and switches. There is much dust here. A few leaves have blown up into the gap. I mind where I place my hands as I crawl towards where the door should be. The channel branches further ahead. I can see a light coming up through the grates set in the ceilings below. At the first grate, I lie down with my face pressed into the metal, stare unblinkingly through it for a sign of the deer. I can't see it. I'm too far across the room, but I can hear it, still stirring the leaves with its snout. It moves, heads closer to me, edging along the wall. I see its flank. The grate beneath me is held in with a few screws, but they're rusty. the holes crumbling and widening. Even if I had the right tool, I'd never be able to get them out. I crawl on, passing the deer, I think, and come to a junction. Ahead is another grate. Darkness to my right and my left brighter light, perhaps coming from below, indicating a way down. I chose left and wriggled past a fat bunch of wires. The light gets brighter. I turn right at the end of the passage and see the hole. Not on the floor of the channel, but the wall. The tunnel has been blown through. Metal shavings and deep gouges indicate that something has been pushed out of here or pulled. I edge closer and look out. I'm in the wall of a large atrium, maybe 200 yards long, half as wide. There must be a 3-floor drop beneath me. I twist my head to look up, another 15 or so above. The ribs of an empty skylight cut up the sky into rectangles. I see wisps of cloud in the blue. Looking back into the atrium, I see banners hanging at intervals down the length of the huge space. Shining anchors bored into the walls level with me. Across the atrium, I see a banner dangling limply, gently swinging in the breeze, blowing in through the gaping entrance at the far end of the building. The anchor on my side must have been torn from the wall somehow, took part of the tunnel with it. There's a metal rail running around the space, darkened lights hanging from it. Balconies just above that. The rail can't be too far above me. I edge further out of the hole, wriggling onto my back. I raise my hands up, brush the wall above me for finger holds, gingerly move to a sitting position as my chest clears the hole. I'm pressing my toes into the walls of the tunnel, my thighs strain to hold me in. The rail is just out of reach. I inch back and push my hands up as far as they'll go. I'm so close. I dig my toes into the walls of the tunnel and shove out, slap my hands into the railings as I jerk my chest forwards. I've got it. Wriggling my legs out of the hole, I plant my soles on the wall and start to edge to the left, towards the nearest balcony. The balconies have slender metal railings to stop people from falling. It's easy to grab hold of them and pull myself over. I rest for a moment, taking long, deep breaths and letting them out slowly. My heart is racing, pain throbs dully in my hip. The hole is about 5 meters away, and I'm a floor up from where I should be. There's a stairwell behind a cracked glass wall. There's a picture on the glass. A stylized family on top of a hill, writing above the logo says, Gene Cinch. I head to the stairs. At the bottom of the stairwell, a small pool of water has gathered, safe from the sun in the shade of the floor above. There are leaves too, and scat. I move forwards, picking my way carefully to avoid dry leaves. I hear the noise of the deer, faint still, but closer. There, I see it. The rifle swings easily into my hands as I loosen the safety binding with a sharp tug. It's an old rifle, but it's clean and it fires true. I've added to the runes carved on the stock, a power sign, and a copy of my father's ward. I can feel the fresh sharpness of the ward. It stands out in stark contrast amongst the skin-smooth runes of the rifle's previous owners. I sink down and move slower, the rifle steady in my hands. There's a round in the chamber, but the safety is still on. I slowly disengage it. Oil and filing has smoothed the lever, and the click is barely audible, even to me. Still, I imagine the deer's ears twitching back to find the alien sound and stop in my tracks. There's a rustling sound. It's coming closer. I edge to the corner of the room. The door is open, and I see the frosted glass, behind which Pilo will be listening, straining for any clue as to my progress. I see rich, brown ear as I clear the doorway. Head and neck follow, then the curve of a shoulder. I hold my breath and raise the rifle. The deer is close enough to hip fire, but that's not how I've been trained. I look down the scope and straight into the eye of the deer. It sees me. I fire. The shot is incredibly loud in the enclosed space. My ears ring with it and I don't hear Pilo opening the door. He swiftly crosses to the deer and examines my handiwork. Good kill. His voice is muffled and I barely hear the words. Thanks. I feel my voice in my throat. The vibrations in my head make my ears ring again. Let's get this. Pilo is cut off by a horrible sound, a bitter scream that's like nothing I've ever heard. We freeze. My body is shaking with adrenaline and I feel slightly numb. The ringing has subsided and I hear a rumbling, slapping sound, feet on hard floors, and the chattering of strange voices. Pilo finger signs down and I drop to the floor. The voices sound as though they're in a huge hall. They echo off the atrium walls. I have no idea what they're saying. They make guttural, unnatural sounds and vicious barking noises, but it sounds like words. Pilo finger signs. Where? I hand a sign back, indicating the stairs, trying to give the sense of the balcony and the atrium. We move to the stairs, crawl up on them on our bellies. Pilo leads, staying low. We peep through the railings, and I gasp, unable to catch the sound before it's made. The things below us move like we do. They walk on two legs, carry vicious-looking weapons with two arms, but they definitely aren't human. There are 4 of them, moving like spiders across the open space. They skirt around broken benches and turned over tables. One of the creatures approaches a huge black obelisk. It's twice as wide as it is tall, stands darkly to one side of the room. Benches arranged in concentric semicircles around it. The thing drags a clawed hand across the smooth surface and grunts loudly. They call to one another as they advance, bark out queries and orders. They swing their weapons from side to side, sweeping the atrium, searching for us. I'm sure they must have heard my shot. That's what brought them here. As I watch, another appears, strides confidently through the glassless lattice of frames at the far end of the hall. It's wearing something like armor. It carries a large gun. It has a strangely shaped head and it can't be. 4 arms. It points with the lower arms while cradling its weapon, hisses and barks orders to the other 4. I can't move. I glance across at Pilo. He's watching, his face totally blank. Beneath us, the 2 arms close up around the forearm, and they begin advancing down the atrium together, heading for a staircase nearly opposite us. I gasp again as something grips my arm. It's Pilo. He motions for me to follow him, but as I begin moving, I look down. One of the 2 arms is looking straight up at the balcony. He mutters something and points. Pilo pulls me upright and we run. The creatures shout and dart towards the stairs. Shots ring out. Blue light flashes. They're 2 floors below, but they're fast. I hear them pounding up the stairs behind us as Pilo and I dart into a large room. One day, I'd like to go back to this room. Glass cabinets line the walls. Treasures hundreds of years old sit within. Plates and cups and ornaments. What look like old weapons or toys or something. On one wall there is a picture, hundreds of men and women around a huge sphere, like those old stories Gamma told. It seems happy. In the middle of the room is an enormous table made entirely out of wood. There are wooden chairs too. Some lie on their backs, one has a broken leg. The window at the rear of the room stretches all the way across it. Almost all of the glass remains, save for a single panel to my far right. The light makes everything glow. It is a beautiful room. Pilo dashes behind the table, pulls me with him. No time even to breathe. We pull out our rifles and take aim over the table. I have 3 rounds left in the blocky magazine. Pilo's gun is larger than mine, but is bolt action. He inserts a round into the chamber and before I can blink, fires at the first strange head to appear around the side of the door. Time seems to slow around me. I push the fear aside and grip my rifle tightly. Another creature emerges, following the first. My sweat-slicked fingers slip and my shot hits mid-chest. The creature staggers but stays upright. Pilo has loaded his rifle faster than I can believe and shoots again. A dart of blue fire zips past us. I hear it shatter the window. One creature is in the room now. Two lie dead on the floor. The fourth stays low and charges. Pilo has fired again before I can take aim. Another creature falls. I raise my rifle as the forearm lurches into the room. The remaining two arm drops back, but my shot catches it in the shoulder and it spins. Pilo's next shot takes the forearm in the chest but does nothing. It doesn't even falter. I sight down my rifle, line up squarely with the armoured head of the forearm. I know Pilo is doing the same. We fire. Pilo's round hits first, mine follows it in. The forearm shrieks. Strange fluid has exploded from its face. I think I can see bone and sinew beneath the armour. I aim into the bloody gap and pull the trigger. I click. I'm out. I drop the magazine, note where it fell to retrieve it later. My hand gropes for my reserve, but I don't catch it the first time. The forearm comes closer, fires its oversized weapon. Blue streamers whip past us. One strikes the table and explodes. Splinters and superheated air sting my cheek, and there's a horrible smell. Pilo fires again, and the forearm rocks back. More blood spurts from another wound. I slap the magazine into my rifle and swing the barrel up. I don't aim, just pull the trigger. The forearm's leg snaps and it drops down onto it. Pilo strides forward, puts a barrel of his rifle to the thing's head and roars. The shot sounds like death. Air rushes into my lungs, burns my throat. The world speeds up again. I can't remember the last time I breathed. We stand here, bodies heaving and shaking, carnage and strange blood at our feet. Pilo's rifle still points towards the ground. I hear a slithering sound. Watch as the two arm I winged grabs Pilo. It's raising a crude blade, murder in its eyes. Without thinking, I've drawn my long knife. I leap over to Pilo and stab down, screaming the burning air back out of my lungs. I feel the knife slide into the alien's skull. It catches on something. I forgot to let go as the creature slumps to the side, go down with it in a tangle of limbs and a wash of warm, stinking blood. Pilo puts his hand out and I take it. I stand looking at him for a moment. The thing managed to score a long cut down his forearm as it fell. I can hear the steady drip of blood on the hard floor. Pilo looks at me, straight in the eyes. I can't help myself. I throw my arms around him and he pulls me close. I'm sobbing silently. I feel the tears pool in my eyes, threaten to spill down my cheeks. I don't want to cry, but I can't stop it. Pilo strokes my hair, and I cry.